It is days before the Fond du Lac Veterans Powwow, and Tom Whitebird is busy with last minute preparations. But he also has other matters on his mind. He recalls receiving his draft notice on February 29th, 1968, and 12 days later, reporting for duty.
Well, I was young, and there was 50 of us from Carleton County here that went, and I knew just about everybody was my age. I went to school with them. There was like 20 some that were just my schoolmates. To me, I kind of glad I did get drafted. I went to AIT in Fort Leonard, Missouri, and then from there I went to Fort Hood, Texas. In fact, when I was in Fort Hood, we got called to 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago. There was 4,000 of us went from Fort Hood down to Chicago to the Great Lakes Naval Base, and then we went to Chicago downtown. I was on a driver on a Jeep. I was like 19 years old, and I lived in Chicago for a while, so I seen all these buildings there where we were at, and it was kind of different. Like all of a sudden, just they hand you a rifle and six clips of ammo and tell you if you're under fire, return fire. I'm 19 years old in a city that I grew up in. It was really weird. And then that convention, of course, we pushed everybody back with the stuff that we had there. It turned out where nobody really got hurt, thank God.
He was a mechanic when he was sent to Vietnam, but they didn't need mechanics, they needed military police.
We just ran convoys, escorts, is what we usually did for. Sometimes you get some new vehicles in or something would come into the Saigon Harbor, and then we'd get somebody to drive them, and then we'd escort them to wherever they're going, and then come back. It was just more of like an escort guard service for them. Yeah, there was a few scary moments. First thing we first got there, we landed in Benoit, and they were under mortar attack. We jumped off a TWA plane. They told us to run to the bunker and leave everything on the plane. Got off the plane, got into the bunker. Plane took off with everything we had. It took like a week to get our clothes back. It just bang. It was the realization right away. And they got mortared a couple times while I was in Benoit for a week training, and it was different then. And you really realize where you're at after. You see. We had a mess hall that was maybe 300-400 feet from us that got leveled. They landed a rocket right in the middle of it while we were there and blew us out of our beds. And I lost a couple close friends right in this area. Me and another guy from ESCO, went with a guy from Moose Lake, and this guy was really big in basic training, and he wanted to get through basic training and get into the Army because his family was. And his name was Maroon Sarvla, and he got it. We helped him through basic. We call him Gramps. He was a big guy, big kid, and we helped him get through so he could go on to the service. Helped him. You had to do physics, and if you pass it, then they keep you. Well, that's what we did for him. Worked quite a bit with him, and he was in Vietnam a week, and he got killed.
Tom's tour in Vietnam ended a couple of months early due to a death in his family. He was home when he received a letter from one of his buddies who described a horrific attack.
Came back, and 2 days after I left, our company had never been hit, and our company got hit. And I lost 7 of my good friends over there. They just came in one day, and Charlie come in at night where everybody wasn't worried about anything, because you figured you were safe with everybody around you, and they hit the place, and I got a letter from one of my friends, and like I said, it was 7 of that I was with there and didn't make it. Vietnamese, they were very aggressive and very dedicated to what they were doing. That's what I should say, dedicated. They were, they thought they were right, and that's just the way it was. When I landed in Travis Air Force Base, my aunt met me there because I was taking another flight back home. I was trying to get home as soon as I could. And she brought me civilian clothes, and I changed right inside. When I went out the door, they didn't throw nothing at me or anything, but all the GIs that were coming out with their bags and stuff. They were actually throwing tomatoes and all kinds of junk at him.
Tom said the passage of time does heal wounds, but maybe the psychological ones take longer. Today, Tom does what he can to help all veterans as Fond du Lac's Veteran Service Officer.
It's hard to visualize that, you know, they take you from going with your buddies and doing things, and then all of a sudden you're in someplace where they're telling you what to do, and you're in a situation where anytime, you know, that bullet might be yours. I grew up knowing a lot of these people around here that I didn't even know were in the service, and I'm finding this out now, and I seen they had problems, and I understand why now. They have PTSD. I'm not a hero or anything, but I mean, I just I feel like I'm doing something now that I couldn't do then, that I didn't, you know. I can help the veterans now. It's a very rewarding job, this job, to help veterans.